There's a lot of discussion around Microsoft in the gaming space right now. Between monster acquisitions of abusive companies to possible future buyouts, the ongoing outpouring of love for Game Pass and their terrible first-party studios. At least, that's the flavour of the week when I'm writing this, following the release of the latest Halo Infinite roadmap. There doesn't seem to be a week pass by in 2022 when Microsoft's Xbox division isn't in the news for one reason or another. But there is one aspect that is always conspicuously absent. One aspect that is a stain on what is otherwise becoming a good reputation for Microsoft's gaming division. No, I'm not talking about 343 here, though that could be a video all on its own. Instead, I'm talking about Game Pass Ultimate, at least if I'm using its official name. To go more colloquial though, I'm talking about Xcloud, and how bad it actually is. Welcome everybody, my name is Doragon, and this is my dissection of Microsoft's cloud gaming platform Xcloud in May 2022. What is Xcloud? Officially, Xcloud isn't a product offered by Microsoft. Like Project Spartacus from Sony, which became PS Plus, Project Empire from Ubisoft that became Assassin's Creed Origins, Project Yoda from Vodafone that became a Vodafone-branded Alcatel phone. Project Xcloud was the internal working name of Microsoft's cloud gaming platform. Unlike all of the others mentioned here, though, the name Xcloud has persisted after the launch of the service. The masses refer to it as Xcloud, industry writers and journalists refer to it as Xcloud, even Xbox insiders refer to it as Xcloud. And the reason for this is Microsoft's garbled naming convention. Many people say they don't know when a Sony phone was launched because of the names. For example, you have the Z2, X2, XZ2, and One Mark II, all within 5 years of one another. Well, Microsoft tried to outdo that convoluted naming convention with their consoles. They had the Xbox One, Xbox One X, and Xbox One S, all within one console generation. Then they had the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S in the current generation. Seriously? What is with this naming? Is it to be purposely confusing? Writing these names down for this script, I messed it up 5 times. I had the One X written down 3 times at one point, and I know the differences between the consoles! But if you think that's bad, wait until you get to their subscription services. They have Xbox Live Gold, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, and Game Pass. Seriously, 4 versions of Game Pass that until you go to purchase them are all referred to simply as Game Pass. Now, one of those options is cloud gaming. One is for console only, one is for PC only, and one covers all of the bases. But then, 2 of those are actually only available under one purchase option, the Ultimate package. And they are the covers all bases and cloud options. This is why Microsoft's internal project name of Xcloud has stuck post-launch, and why I will be referring to the service as Xcloud for the rest of this video. So what is it? As mentioned, Xcloud is Microsoft's cloud gaming platform. It leverages Microsoft servers that utilize One X and Series X motherboards as blades to run games remotely and stream that content to your connected screen. It offers visuals of 1080p at a frame rate of 60 FPS on all games that support it. Games are held in a curated and revolving library, with some, like the Xbox Studio's first-party titles, being permanent editions, and others only being available for a limited time, similar to Netflix or Disney+. Xcloud is available on all Android devices, PCs running Windows 10 or later, all iOS devices launched after the iPhone X, and limited Mac and iPad OS support. Recently, 8th generation Xbox consoles had the service added to them, allowing owners of any 8th gen Xbox to play 9th generation titles on their existing console. A link to a list of officially supported devices can be found in the video description below. While you're in that region of the page, please consider a like of the video and sub to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Xcloud, as with all cloud gaming services, requires an internet connection to work. This can be Wi-Fi, Ethernet, tethered, or mobile data. It is compatible with any existing Bluetooth controller, even Joy-Cons if you so fancy, connected to the screen that you are playing on. There is no Wi-Fi controller option such as those offered by Stadia or Luna here, so input lag is more noticeable, but not game-breaking. You can still compete well in PvP scenarios against console and PC counterparts, and in single-player or co-op settings, you don't notice it at all. Touchscreen controls are available for mobile devices, however, the support is incredibly limited and not as fully implemented as Stadia or GeForce Now. Only certain games support touch controls, and only 3 new ones have been added as of April throughout 2022. The service is only available via a subscription fee. This subscription is Game Pass Ultimate, and that's only available on a month-by-month basis. It costs £10.99 or $14.99 per month, and you can find deals on the subscription throughout the year and obtain the service for less, but RRP is as quoted. So it's a cloud gaming platform available on a wide variety of devices with an inclusive library. It has wide Bluetooth input support, but no newer tech to leverage the service further. Has limited global rollout and some of the lowest resolution on the market, but has exclusive titles unlike many other cloud gaming services. That is Xcloud. What is wrong with it? My thumbnail asks, why Microsoft? So what is that referring to? Boiled down to its simplest form, it's an awful experience. Now, quick disclaimer here. I'm not yet monetized on YouTube. I'm quite a way off that 1,000 subscriber requirement. This means there's no advert revenue, no super chats, no super thanks, no channel members, and no sponsorships. This means that the views presented in my videos thus far are solely those of a consumer. I work 5 days a week, 7.5 hours a day with an unpaid half-hour lunch break. I get paid at the end of every month for my work, and I use that money to live and for entertainment and downtime, just as you watching this likely do. At £10.99 per month, Xcloud is one of the most expensive entertainment subscription services on the market. It costs way more than Amazon Prime does, and that comes with unlimited next-day delivery, shopping discounts, Prime Video, and when it launches, Luna as well. It's more than PS Plus Premium will be when it launches in June 2022, and that will have monthly inclusive games, cloud gaming, 800 available titles, cloud saves, online gaming, console game trials, and more. Stadia and GeForce Now both have free options, game purchase options, and more input options, including mouse and keyboard. In terms of focused entertainment subscription services here in the UK, only the 4K Netflix and GeForce Now's 3080 tier cost more than Xcloud. With that being the case, and named officially as Game Pass Ultimate, Xcloud is positioning itself as a premium service with a premium cost. But of all the gaming subscriptions, whether they include cloud gaming or not, it is the first one that I would cancel, ahead even of Nintendo's Switch Online offering. The reason for this is multifold, but primary among my disappointments and concerns is performance. Whether you look at cloud gaming as a supplementary service to traditional gaming, or the next logical step of the industry, you expect at least a comparable experience to the one that you get on console. In terms of frame rate, Xcloud is offering that. Whether on your Xbox Generation 8 console, a mobile phone, PC or internet browser, or wherever else you may play, you'll get 60 frames per second across most games. As this is one of my biggest challenges personally, jumping from 9th generation titles to previous gens, that's an amazing addition and upgrade for some older titles. But those frames are only available at 1080p maximum. Xcloud went into full launch on Android in 2020, a time when even entry-level phones were coming with 1440p screens. But Xcloud launched with a maximum resolution of 640p. Since September 2021, we have had 1080p visuals, a supposed upgrade, but the competition all offers higher resolutions, either natively up to 4K HDR with ray tracing, or through supersampling. As Xcloud is, even on my smaller phone screen, the visuals are soft and blurry, with no extra tech, just 1080p standard dynamic range visuals. a streaming resolution and technology from 2009. There is then how Xcloud deals with what it deems are bad connections. I use those specific words because I experienced this treatment on 550 megabits per second down, 36 megabits per second up, and a 12 millisecond ping broadband connection. Yet Xcloud deems that my connection is insufficient to have a smooth play session. But here's the thing. Rather than lower the already low resolution or curb the frame rate a bit to keep a smooth play experience, like Stadia does, Xcloud offers what you are seeing on screen. Stuttering, VHS rolling, and long, full screen refreshes. Sometimes it doesn't even go that far and just stops the game completely, crashes to the homepage of the app. But if I boot up a competitor on the same connection and same hardware, I'm getting flawless 4K gaming at a minimum 60 frames per second.
That's not a fair critique though, is it, Doragon? Xcloud has improved greatly since it launched. Has it? Has it really?
It launched with 640p visuals at 60 frames per second. It could be played on any supported device with any controller, and it allowed screenshots, screen captures, and recordings right out of the gate. It worked on any internet connection, had over 150 games, and had day one releases. To describe the service now, I changed the number 640 to 1080 in the visuals section, and the wording of over 150 changes to nearly 400 when referring to the games. And you then have what Xcloud has become. You can now, though, also add in that rolling, refreshing, and crashing on stupendous networks. That means the service has grown in terms of available content, sure, but it has also gotten worse since it launched, and Microsoft is considering increasing the price of it in 2022. Bear in mind that I cannot have a cloud-only subscription of Game Pass, like console and PC can. If I want to use this service, I am forced to pay for the ultimate subscription that includes everything, even though I don't have an Xbox console or a PC and won't make use of those inclusions. I am forced into a premium package for a singular aspect that I want to use. I end up paying a premium price for, at best, a neglected service. Another disappointment for me is Microsoft's spending. The fact that in less than 2 full years, a cloud gaming platform from one of the biggest suppliers of cloud services in the world has degraded should at least raise eyebrows that something is grossly wrong with Microsoft's handling of the service and distribution of funds. Let's put some perspective on it. £134 is what I spent on Xcloud in its first year, as did so many other cloud gaming enthusiasts. In a world of rising prices, that is a lot of money to 95% of consumers. Yet anyone who enjoys the Xcloud games and has spent that on the service has, within the same time the service has been live, watched Microsoft splurge $77 billion on 2 companies, one of which is still being sued by the state for its abusive culture, which has led to actual death. And we've seen them spend nothing, or at least to an external paying customer viewpoint, spend nothing on Xcloud, a paid-for premium service from the company. Now, don't get me wrong, more games on the service, inclusive of the price, will be great. But the service kinda needs to work reliably before the games can be played and enjoyed. Now, you could throw PlayStation Now at me as a comparison premium service and an example of a service done worse. Sony hasn't really thrown much development at PS Now in its lifetime so far, a similar scenario to Xcloud. So, let's have a look at it, shall we? Sony was the first of the big players to market with a consumer cloud gaming proposition, and in the 8 years it has been live, it has upgraded to 1080p resolution, which is super sampled to 1440p visuals through console, reduced the devices it is available on, grown a library of over 700 games, and massively improved latency and lag to be pretty much non-existent. But that is it in 8 years. It's getting a much-needed injection in June, rolling out to new countries with new libraries and tech, but we're going to have to wait and see how that goes before passing judgment. Even so, for the same price as a single year of Xcloud, pre-June 2022, I would have gotten nearly 3 years of PlayStation Now. To me, 3 years of a bigger library, better exclusives, higher quality visuals and a consistent and stable experience is much more palatable than 1 year of a degrading platform for the same cost. With PlayStation Now, I've never had a session disconnect, never had a game not start, never had stuttering or rolling mid-gameplay. It's a low bar to set that the service I'm paying for actually works, but for less money annually, I'm getting a far more stable option from Sony than from Microsoft. And with cloud gaming, that matters greatly. The thing is, this shouldn't be the case. Size comparison of the companies alone shows that Microsoft should be dominating. Experience and technology in cloud services shows that Microsoft should be industry leading. Sheer quantity of money should give Microsoft an edge. Heck, all of these factors, among many others, is how they broke into the gaming market in the 6th gen with the first Xbox, and were successful. Yet I'm sitting here as a customer in the 9th gen, feeling like an afterthought when paying for their latest and greatest service. To then see the spends that Microsoft is making elsewhere, spends that are no guarantee of Xbox's success, spends that give abusive entities a massive payday as they casually walk out of the door with no repercussions to their actions, spends that could end world hunger, spends that could tackle climate change and then some, and to see the premium service that I pay for degrade rapidly, it begs the question, is the Microsoft checkbook being used wisely? From my consumer perspective, no, it's not. Because I'm now struggling to even play the games that the company is trying to tell me I can play anywhere.
But Game Pass is the best deal in gaming right now. Again, I ask, is it?
I see this statement touted whenever a new popular game is added to the service. It was almost memed at one point in 2021, when every video game journalist basically put the blurb of Game Pass as a tweet or update across every social media. I get the joke, I really do. But doesn't that seem biased? Especially considering they've never done it for any other service, release or hardware, no matter how good they are? In that moment, isn't the media corporation washing the narrative around subscription services? In terms of a deal, I've already mentioned that it basically stops me playing through poor implementation, so that alone says bad deal to me. Coupled with the lack of a cloud-only option, I have to pay more money to get less stuff. By anyone's definition, that's a bad deal. In terms of a game library, Microsoft has added tons of new titles, but they've come through company acquisitions and hostile takeovers. There's very few new games added to the service because a publisher wants it on there. Outriders developers still haven't made their money back on the game from adding it to Game Pass day one, despite having the highest player count on Xbox Game Pass thanks to being included with the service. When a new sports game is added, the previous year's version disappears. If you want to keep playing that old game because of your investment, you can't, unless you buy the game personally on an Xbox platform and use your cloud save, which for me would also mean buying an Xbox platform. Let's also not forget that the vast majority of the titles currently available in that library are from the previous 3 generations of consoles. Yes, some have been polished a bit or given automatic frame rate boosts, but they're still titles that have been around for a long time and played to death already by much of the gaming community.
Why does that matter, Doragon? They're inclusive, just don't play them if you don't like them. Look, if it's a criticism levelled at both Sony and Google to explain why their subscription offerings aren't as good as Game Pass, then maybe we should level that same critical lens at Game Pass itself.
If we do, Game Pass is tied with PlayStation Plus for 9th generation offerings of games in the last 12 months. That's PlayStation Plus. Not PS Now, PS Plus. The service that rivals Xbox Live Gold. A service that is less than half the cost of Game Pass Ultimate. The same level of service that will remain less than half the cost of Game Pass Ultimate come June 2022 with the refresh. In that revamp, PlayStation is likely to streak ahead, offering things like Returnal, a Game of the Year winner, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Death Stranding Director's Cut, and more PS5 titles on the cloud with DualSense support available on PC, PS4, and PS5. Meanwhile, Stadia has offered multiple next-gen titles at launch as part of their Pro subscription, which is £2 less per month than Game Pass. Titles like Grime, Control Ultimate Edition, and Life is Strange Remastered were all offered as part of the service at 4K with HDR and 5.1 surround sound. For those PS Plus and Stadia titles, as long as you are subscribed, you can play them, even 10 years down the line. Yet on Xcloud, Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 5, 12 minutes, F1 2021 and such were all offered at 1080p 60fps stereo sound. And the non-first party games are likely to disappear from the service in the near future, leaving you once again with a catalogue mostly made up of titles from the previous 3 generations of console. When you level that criticism back, Game Pass Ultimate and Xcloud don't come out looking good. You then have to take the experience into account. That is what determines if it is a good deal. £10.99 a month this service costs. And I haven't played a game for more than a couple of minutes on the service since January. Halo Infinite, this persistent Halo experience, is dead in the water. New releases and additions either haven't enamored me, have been available elsewhere in better quality, or I played them 8 years ago with the launch of the PlayStation 4 when they were included with that. When I know of so many stories of Series X's or PS5s being sold because people hadn't played them for 2 weeks because there were no games, 4 months should show how poor a deal it is. £43.96 for a near as makes no difference 0 game time. I don't care who you are or what argument you may have to the positive. At that cost, for that return, that's not a good deal at all. The bright side. Okay, enough doom and gloom. There are major positives about Xcloud, and there are reasons that I have kept paying for it beyond making content about it. It has one of the best applications and user interfaces across all cloud gaming providers. In fact, I'd go so far as to call it the best. It can still be improved in time, don't get me wrong, but it's still the best as we stand right now. There are nearly 400 games on the service in 18 months. Like I say, older and via hostile takeover for many. But still, that's more games on Xbox's optional subscription service than on Stadia as a whole. Day one releases of Xbox first-party titles are amazing. I was able to play Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5 on day one on my Android tablet for £10.99. If you want to play, you only need to purchase a month of the subscription at the launch of the game, and then cancel the service a month later. Just make sure that you complete the game in that time frame. That's a very cheap and efficient way of playing particular titles. EA Play is included. It has its limitations on cloud, but if you have a PC or Xbox console, you get an additional subscription service built in. It has flexible payment and renewal options, vast controller options, multiple device support, cloud saves, screenshots and captures, and more. There are a lot of positives to Xcloud. But the only positives that have changed or evolved in its lifespan so far are the quantity of games and output resolution. Everything else is exactly as it was at launch. If the PS5 or Xbox Series X had done that, there would be so many negative articles calling either one lazy. Yet there is silence about Xcloud. Stadia has another negative mainstream article written about it near weekly. Yet there is silence about Xcloud. I can't undersell the good points here. Everything that I have mentioned in this bright side section is a huge positive for the service. Xcloud has the basic structure to be stupendous, to be industry leading. But when those positive points are static, and the negatives are growing quickly, aren't being addressed and can't be ignored, it's time to ask the tough questions. So that is my question. Why Microsoft? Why has so little focus been given to a premium service? Why are bugs, glitches, and poor stability allowed to grow unchecked? Why is the experience so bad? When it works well, Xcloud is great. It's just that as of right now, it doesn't work well often enough for the negatives to be overlooked. I want to like the service. I really do. I love cloud gaming, and Xcloud allows me to experience everything the first-party Xbox studios have to offer without needing additional equipment. That's amazing accessibility and beyond anything competitors are offering. I love that I can use it anywhere, on any device. I love that it gives me the freedom to come and go as I please. There is so much good here, but it's let down by the fundamentals being poorly implemented. It's all well and good having the games available, but you have to be able to reliably play them to call a service usable, let alone good. You have to have a measure of top quality titles, marquee releases, to keep the service relevant. If you don't, you have a Vita or Wii U situation on your hands. When that situation comes with a high monthly cost, then the service puts itself at the top of everyone's cost-cutting lists. In fact, following the completion of this script, I turned off auto-renew for the service to save myself some money. So why, Microsoft? Why do you neglect your cloud service and cloud customers? Why are we not offered a cloud-only subscription at a lower cost? Why do we have to pay top dollar for a bottom-level service? Why is the service so bad? Will we ever see it improve? Tell me. Why should I resubscribe to what has been such an awful experience?
I'd like to thank you all very much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this video, try this one about GeForce Now and why it makes zero sense. Otherwise, your viewership is more than enough for me. My name is Doragon. These are my thoughts on Xcloud in May 2022. And until next time, have yourselves a fantastic day and take care.